Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Coffees for Closers. Me and James in the office today, getting the setup a little bit nicer. They won't hear it.
Right as the vacuum cleaners come on. So I hope you guys can't hear that in the background. But
they won't be able to.
That is the new office, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so what today's episode is about is, I guess, team environments, workspaces, all that kind of good stuff. I actually did some reading on team environments.
You did?
So
I find that hard to believe.
Yep, exactly.
I don't really, actually.
Yeah. All right, so cue the intro.
If you listen to this podcast, you will make your first million within 3 years. I'm going to repeat that. You will make $1 million within 3 years of the first episode you listen to. We don't want pikers. We're not here to save the manatees. We're here to make podcasts. You really want this. You listen and review.
Put that coffee down.
All right. So this week is the first week where we've had a decent amount of people in the office.
Yep.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
So
7 to 8 people.
There's us two. There's Ben. On Mondays, we have the accountants, bookkeepers come in. Then we've got Cameron, Marco, Dan, and Steve, and Luke all in at once, which is very new to us. And if I've realized anything, we probably need more office space.
This isn't big enough.
So
There you go.
stay tuned.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's really interesting. So a lot of the studies have found that for ideal team environments, for the highest functioning teams, there's like an operating space of around 1 person per 1.6 meters of office.
Interesting.
1.6 meters squared. So the optimal is like if you're too close, then you feel like you're on top of each other.
Yeah.
But like remote teams will never function as high
office
as their
teams.
like non-remote counterparts,
Yeah.
I suppose. Which I thought was really interesting because like we have a very high functioning team as it is. And so like hearing that, I was like, well, reading that, I was like, okay, that's sort of pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show like, and you know, Marco, this is the first week that he's been in the office. He was like, man, this is so much more productive. Like, because we're able to answer things so much faster and get feedback on things. And we're not having to wait for phone calls and Zooms and daily meetings, weekly meetings. Like we can just get shit done. And it's like a really enjoyable environment to be in.
It's funny because like we were both semi of the opinion that maybe with all the toys and whatnot in the office that you might be less productive because, you know, you might play a game of pool here and there. You might sit down at the bar, eat, talk with people that are around, be on the arcade machines and you know, whatever else. But I found that we can still do that and we're still significantly more productive because you can do that whilst you're taking calls, having the meetings with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's far more productive. And let's say even if you do spend time doing activities that are quite fun, it's made up for it by the amount of immediate action that you can take with people being there and being able to facilitate things quicker.
Yeah. But like I was having lunch, then I was like, oh, I'll just shoot a quick game of pool while like after my lunch.
Yeah.
And I was answering questions about sales.
Yeah.
Like I was doing sales training whilst I was playing pool. And then like, you know, yesterday me and Marco were on a live sales call. Like 5 people sat in to listen.
Yeah.
And then asked questions afterwards. There was a live sales call that Marco was on today, which he cold called off a follow-up because he had the time. And then I sat in and I gave him
Direct feedback,
on the call as to what I think he could have done to get the deal faster. He still sold him. But like I was like, this is what I think you could have done to do it faster.
And previously, he'd have to record that, upload it, send it. You'd have to download it, listen to it.
Yeah.
When who the f has the time? You can just do it.
And I sat there listening to the call live while I was doing my emails. And I was like in and out. And I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like I texted him every now and then with a little bit of like, hey, just ask this.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's really interesting because like, and then the guys like, so these new guys like Cameron and Dan and Steve and
can
Luke,
hear it live.
These guys can come in and listen to these calls. That's a great environment to be in. It's a very motivating environment. You know, this morning, me and Marco hopped on the phone with a guy and closed an $80,000 deal, you know, and it's $80,000 for a 2-hour and 15-minute speaking package.
Yeah. And a young kid gets to experience that by standing on the other side of this door out of frame.
Yeah.
Listen.
Or even just right there on the couch.
Yeah. That you can't see.
Exactly.
So you don't know, but there could be 4 people in here listening to us do this podcast live.
There
Isn't
are.
that right?
Yeah.
So
They're right, because it's boring.
Yeah. And it's funny, like last night I've been staying later than what I usually would. Right. Because we finished work and me and Marco work on a couple of things together. And He's sit here. He's basically taken this whole space as his office. And he's come and says, like, I can't leave. Like, I can't leave now. Like, this is it. Like, it being here makes it so much easier for me to do my job. And he feels more powerful. He feels more productive purely because of the environment, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. I'd say it's the first time I've felt like a proper boss.
You can think that. That's fine. No, you're right. It's you can even see, like, just walking around in, like, it's quite a large complex here where we probably have the coolest office and everyone's like, oh, what's that? And me just like walking around, you can see the level of respect people give you compared to if I was to just walk up the street after I've been in my home office for ages.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference, right?
Yeah, it does. I think, like, you know, creating a cool work environment, I think, is important.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's hard to debate the fact when you've got Google, Apple, like all these, you know, Amazon, all these amazing companies creating their corporate headquarters to be extraordinarily creative and productive spaces with cool stuff. Because, like, it's almost like when you have the ability to do the things, like, you don't even need to do them. Like, we have an arcade machine. No one played it today.
Nope.
You know
I haven't. I've played it once.
Yeah, I played it more than anyone.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because I need to beat Marco on NBA Jam.
But you can do it on the phone and still keep your
I've
focus.
taken heaps of Zoom meetings while playing NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
because
I
there are
watch
Zoom
it.
meetings that I'm just there to listen and then understand what's happening. And
You
then
don't do it
from
if you're
there-
leading.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And, like, even today, like, we had a meeting where it was like guy was selling us, or it was like kind of the final proposal stage of him selling us into something, of which we'd sold him into something on his second call, which is great, which
Yeah, you
kind of
can come
negates
in
a
and
lot of
out.
the cost. Yeah. And I just kind of came in and out because I wasn't required for a lot of it. I was doing stuff in between, but I just came in, okay, this is what I think.
And the good thing for employees, like our guys, and I feel almost obliged to, whereas at home I could go sit on the couch for 20 minutes, relax, take a break. Here, there comes an inherent obligation that you need to be working because you don't want to get caught sitting on the couch f***ing around. You know, so our guys won't do that. They'll be working the whole time because you can see them. They don't want to be seen not being productive in front of colleagues.
Yeah, they just lock them in those little booths and
do
video
who
games.
knows what in there.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been super interesting. Like, it's obviously, I mean, it's totally foreign for me. Like, I mean, at the gyms, but like the gyms is really different because it's a very, very like utilitarian space.
Yeah.
I guess it's almost like, it's like working in a warehouse, right? This is the first time that we've had a space that
An actual office.
is an office.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is purely, and you know, like it's more of a marketing. I think we've explained this is more of a marketing play than anything else. Like, we dropped 200 G's cash on this place. Like, this table was $8,000.
Yeah. It's nice.
You know, and we need to make it bigger.
Yeah, it's too small for
It's
the
too
room.
small.
We got it. We're like, oh,
It's too small. So we're gonna cover it in about $3,000 worth of resin to make it bigger. But anyway, that's a whole different thing that we have to do. But yeah, so like it's really just about, this office for us was about, like, I think initially, like, how do we separate ourselves from the competition? Because like when we have sales calls now and meetings, like, we are in the best office by far.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because we're all sitting around this table
Yeah.
with that background, and it'll only get better. And as we sort of, this is, funny enough, the most used room that has the least amount of stuff done to it,
Oh, yeah.
I would say, because we're always in here doing stuff. I prefer being in here than my own office.
I like being in here because we can all get around here, and instead of like having 4 people in a meeting in different little individual offices, we all just sit here, and it's easier to communicate and talk and look people in the eye when you're having a conversation.
I should have a great idea.
What's that?
We get rid of these arms and we just have
What is
the desk,
that?
the desk mounted ones.
Yeah, that could work.
Way better than having these arms.
Yeah, well, I mean, ideally, if we can get that conference speaker that's good enough quality for the podcast, then sold, right?
They might not exist, but here, you know.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We'll find out.
Anyway, we're always trying to like do new stuff to make everything more efficient.
Yeah, if you guys comment like in the YouTube video or whatever, like if you have ideas that would look cool in the office as a background for the podcast or generalities, like let us know, because I'm open to making it look cooler if it's more visually
appealing.
appeasing.
Background the other day. I think it looks cool.
Took like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it looks good on camera.
Yeah, they just stick on. It's convenient.
We just gotta do the other side now.
Yeah, it looks shit on the other side.
Yeah, it does.
For now.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I think it's really productive. Like we want not everybody, but nearly everybody in Australia who works here to be out of the office. Especially like the sales staff. I think like creating a sales floor.
Yeah.
I think like that's also like we'll never lose anybody because like no one's gonna be able to replicate
What we do. Yeah.
the culture and the stuff that we can provide
The
people.
culture or the space.
Yeah. And it's just really cool that we are gonna have to figure out how we can fit more people in here.
Because, like, I mean, if you look at it now, if a competition decides to do the office, decides to do all of our cool ideas, like, they're going to be just seen as, you guys just copied Sales Sniper. It's like, haha, trademarked.
Yeah, we have trademark having an office.
Yeah. You can't do that if you're another sales organization.
Yeah,
So,
you're not allowed to have an office.
you know,
Yeah,
we claim it.
That's our thing. No, but I really think it is like having that, and it's difficult to create over like a Zoom environment.
Yeah.
I think we managed to do it relatively well.
Yeah.
I think like the bigger it gets, the more diluted it gets, but we are putting measures in place to stop that.
Yeah.
And we are aggressively hiring talent.
100 applicants this week?
But also like this sort of the key operational players.
Yeah.
Like one of our key hires, Anthony.
Yeah.
Really, really good sales guy who's only ever sold one thing, but he has tremendous potential.
Be
And
ashamed to lose him.
And in the next 3 months, he'll be an incredible sales guy.
Yeah.
Like he's very, very good, but learning how to sell other products in different ways.
Yeah.
Will Hinkinson as well is now come on board for us. He's an ex-MARSOC, which is U.S. Marine SF. So me and him get along really well.
Yeah. He's
Our
a good guy.
operations manager as well here is XSF from the same unit as me. So like that there's a good like
Dynamic.
kinship there. Yeah. And dynamic, but also like really, really good sales guy. He was the head of sales for Dan Bolton.
Yeah.
We also have like Callie, who is the head of sales for Dan Henry.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. We have Will again, Will Odoms, who is, one of the head guys for Dan Locke there for a long time. And I think he was on Jason Capital's account.
Yes, he
potentially.
was. Yeah, he was. Quite early on.
Yeah, like we have Sean Ray is coming on. Shout out to Sean. He's coming on with us pretty soon to head up a department which we haven't announced yet.
We got Jeremy doing sales for us
We
now.
got Jeremy
for
doing
some things, which is
Jeremy's
crazy, right?
on board doing some sales. Yeah, he's selling BK's.
yeah,
big one,
B2B
right?
stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, like I think like the talent pool of people that we have around us right now in terms
It's
of
very
like
high.
senior people who are stepping into those management
Yeah,
roles,
yeah.
especially with the expansion of services that we're about to announce pretty soon.
Stay tuned.
Which by the time we're always so far behind on this. By the time this comes out, it won't be announced yet.
It'll probably come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's how far behind we are.
But yeah, so like I think we have like a crazy good core team.
Yeah.
A crazy good. And like that is so key. And I think one of the reasons why businesses fail to scale, if I'm going into like a business coaching thing, is like, and this is just something that I think it's important that if you're a closer, like you need to be able to see this, right? Because one of the guys who does a little bit of work for us, so I won't mention his name, like he was really disenfranchised when he saw how aggressive our business is and how aggressively we go after growth and stuff like that. When he looked at what he was doing with the business owner that he
quit
was
immediately.
working for, he was just like, oh, like this is not where I want to be. So like you need to show your sales guys that you are hungry to pursue growth.
But
Because sales guys, like they look at you as like, okay, like
Leader.
I'll be the guy with the oars in hand
that facilitates for
facilitating this, but like if you're not steering, if we're just going in circles, like this is boring.
there's you can have your best talent rowing, but if you're not rowing the boat on the other side, you're not going straight, right?
Yeah.
And with that, it's not even just like that leader of that company that's growing. It's like the reason why people want to get behind someone when they grow, because they get the opportunity to grow with them in whichever role that is. So if you do plan on having massive expansion, you need plans. Like I had a good chat with Steve about what he wants long-term today. And if you don't give your staff a clear indication of where they're at now, understand where they want to be, and then put in a solid strategy on what they need to achieve in order to be given an opportunity to move to that next level, then they leave because there's no personal or professional growth for them.
Yeah, and that's why people don't retain salespeople, because they pigeonhole them in a sales role, because it's a tremendous, like, that person produces a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, but if you have someone who produces you a lot of money and you pigeonhole their career, they will just go and produce money for somebody else.
Precisely.
So, like, you're better off keeping that person in your organization, taking them out of a sales role to have them develop other people to be just as good at them in sales. Like, that's what you do. Like, we even had this conversation with Marco, because, like, we're having someone come in, shout out to Spencer, we're having someone come in and sort of put all of the roles that we have on paper, so we can sort of, like, so we don't have a linchpin with any one individual. So like, everyone's roles and responsibilities, processes, systems are all there to be taken over by someone else.
Heaven forbid Marco, doesn't get sick or want to have a breakdown and want to spend 6 months overseas feeling better about himself.
Yeah, monastery or something.
But
it's also more like, what if, like I said, what if Marco breaks his jaw?
Yeah.
What if I f***ed up? What if you're f***ed up? What if something happens?
What if someone chops their thumb off?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we need to have a redundancy strategy to move on certain responsibilities, but then also doing that process, it gives you the ability to see what you're doing that is unnecessary. Because, like, you hit a point where, like, okay, that task is not worth your time.
Absolutely.
Like, Marco costs us like $30,000 a month as a salary. Yeah. And it's like, okay, if we're paying that much, then every hour is worth X.
Yeah. So he can't be doing
every hour is worth, after tax, is worth $170,000. $170. Sorry.
That task, like, he can't be cleaning a desk. He can't be just doing things that aren't worth the $2,000 an hour price tag which we pay.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. And so, like, what we have to figure out is then, like, okay, like, that's a really good thing. And as sales guys, that's a great thing to do for yourself. It's like, what are you doing? Because if you're a mad producer, like, get things out of your way, in order to be able to just handle more sales calls. Yeah. And if you have someone who's on your team who's a mad producer, get things out of their way by doing that kind of process. But also, it's like, the reason why I sort of talked about Marco is because, like, I was explaining to him today, I was like, no, the reason isn't so that you can be replaced. The reason is so you can replace yourself.
Yeah.
So you can step out into whatever the next iteration of his role. Just use him because he's, like, our number 3. You know what I mean?
And he's there.
Yeah. So it's just like, but you can do it with anybody. It's like, what is your role? And then how do you train someone to replace yourself so you can move on to the next thing?
It's funny because, like, we give some of our sales guys their own individual status. And I had this conversation with Steve. He wants to earn X amount of dollars. And I go, that's not achievable. Like, you can't earn that doing what you're doing. Right? Like, it's physically impossible with the amount you get paid per sale, the amount of volume you can take on your close rate. So we can either get to that via, 1, increasing the volume, unrealistic based on your time zone, unless you want to work from 3 a.m. every day. We can put a triage person in to take all those triages and only book 2 sales calls. We can get your close rate up. You're already at a very good level. That is very diminishing returns. And based on, like, the KPIs, the ROI that we have, we can't really increase the cost per sale much because we would have to get more and we'd have to negotiate that. So in order for me to put a triage person in, I need you to achieve X close rate. I need you to bring in X amount of cash, and that needs to be consistent for 2 months. And if you hit those targets, we'll give you that triage person because the ROI is there for us to make that worthwhile.
Yeah.
Okay. But that still doesn't get you to your goal. So you need to hit this financial goal first, then you need to put X away, then you need to start investing it. And if you want to achieve that end goal, you need to figure out what the ROI on that is per year. And then it might take you, based on the cap at which you can earn money from your sales career, it might take you another 6 years to get to that position where your residual income is adding on top of the $40,000 you're currently making to the additional $40,000 you want to get.
Fuck, it must be a big number.
Yeah, he wants to make $80K a month. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Not with what you're currently doing. Like, it's unrealistic, which it is when you do the math. But it's not unrealistic to achieve that when you add in other streams of income.
Yeah, because, like, when you take a salaried role,
yeah,
you take a higher floor with a lower ceiling.
Yeah.
So if you go, I'll go off salary.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, but, like, you don't make a sale, you don't get paid anything.
Exactly.
There's also no sick leave, no holidays.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's a funny one because people don't take that into account. Because, like, let's say you took a week off. Say you took 2 weeks off in the year because you were sick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a few grand. right there, plus the 4 weeks paid holiday. If you're averaging $2,000 a week, that means that's like $10,000 to $15,000 that like just by being employed that you've added because you get paid the whole time. So like, you know, it's an interesting one. Like so if you're earning $500 a sale, it's, you know, 30 sales over the course of a year, not an insignificant amount, you know? And so like, not to mention the fact that like you don't get paid anything while you're not. So like you end up seeing holiday as opportunity cost when you work as commission only. So like, you know, and we're in a position to where, because these guys are in Australia, and if we're in the States, I'd do the same thing. I would say you can take contractor role only,
or you can take employment. You
can take employment. You will earn less commissions if you take employment, but you have a guaranteed salary, bank slip, superannuation, which is 401k for those of you in the States, right?
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Sick leave, all that kind of stuff, right? Plus, you can take a bank slip to the bank and go, I make this much money. Yeah. And you don't have to withhold, all your taxes are withheld for you. Everything's paid. You don't have to do anything, right? And so, like, that reduced admin plus the security means that you have a cap on your income. But it's like, that's got to be a cost benefit.
Yeah, and like he's had roles where
that's why I choose to employ myself.
Yeah, he was earning 200, 300K role and managing brokerages and owning the brokerages and whatnot. And he doesn't want a wage. So it's like, okay, then, like, you want to buy X house, you want X this. It's like, wow, you better wake up with your company, start paying yourself a wage from that for your pure living expenses, and then use the rest to invest in whatnot. Because whilst you're a commission only, even if you're earning upwards of that 80K a month, 40K a month, or whatever that is that you want to get to, doesn't mean without employment. So the banks are not going to be overly happy because that could cut off, whereas with employment...
Yeah, and I'll just clarify, it's different in the States and in Australia. Yeah. So just so you guys know, obviously banking and everything like that. Yeah. In Australia, like, they will lend money to somebody on an 80K salary more than they will lend someone on a $160,000 contractor. Yeah. Right? So, like, that's just kind of the way it is, right?
Well, security of income.
Yeah. So banks over here don't like much, which is why, like, I chose to employ myself, and accountants like, no. I was like, no. It provides me with a level of like mobility that I like. Yeah. Now, for me personally, it's less of an advantage because I'm also the director. Yeah. So like, it ends up being a bit of a game anyway. But for pretty much everybody else, it works out to be a much easier scenario.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to get into that.
It's more risk for us to
technical and boring. So.
Yeah. Yes and no. If you want to know how I think in business and how you think, and
sure.
Then that's...
Maybe we could do an episode at one stage.
I think we are.
Yeah, we've gone so far away from where we started, didn't we? It's a team environment, right?
Yeah, I guess it all kind of flows together, though, because it's like we've chosen to create the team in a very specific way. Yeah. And, like, my goal was, like, if we employ everybody, then, like, I have 100% of everybody's attention.
And also, it's usually within the best interest of the guys for tax mitigation strategies and a whole bunch of other things for security of that future. Yeah. Which is important when you listen to someone, when you know that they are securing your future in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the biggest problems with the industry at the moment is that sales reps are being commoditized. Yeah. They're being considered as products to be placed, or like just people to be thrown around. And like, listen, I'm sure that we're guilty of it from time to time.
No doubt.
I have no
Absolutely
doubt.
No doubt.
I really don't want to be. And I want to be the guys who are known for like treating sales reps as people and as respect, and actually caring about their career and their like progression.
Yeah, which is like, we got to a stage like with growth and everything where, you know, we'll bring in so many people on that we didn't know who they are. So now we have mandatory meetings with every single person that comes on, because it's our job to develop our guys. And how can I develop someone if I don't know where they're at and what they want, right? It's impossible, or know who they are. Can't offer someone an opportunity if we don't know what they're looking for. So we have mandatory one-on-one meetings with everyone for the pure sake of understanding who works for us and being able to give them what they need and what they want and what their ambitions are, right? Which I think is super important, because I never want to be sitting in a meeting where someone brings up stats and it says, Steve's killing it. And I sit there and go, who the it's Steve. What does he do for us?
Yeah.
Like,
I think like it's an inevitability.
at larger scale, but for the time being, it's not. Yeah.
So like it's an interesting one. Like I think team dynamics is difficult to get right. I think especially in sales, I think the key is to have a healthy level of competition without it being overly competitive.
Competition. Okay. What's that?
Like it's a collaborative competition.
Right. Oh,
So
sorry.
like you want everyone to win, but you also want to be the most winning or winner.
Yeah. Sorry.
Winningest winner.
I was thinking of competition from elsewhere. I was like, really?
Yeah.
There's competition.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like there's
inside joke.
there's like sales, like I want everyone to want to be the best sales guy.
Yeah.
But I want everyone to understand that you can't all be the best sales guy, and that's okay.
Yeah, there's no room for big fish, little pond.
Yeah.
It's like you're all medium-sized fish until someone can come in and eat the rest, then they get moved into a different pond.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like we've watched someone like a Bill just come in and be a killer.
Like that, right?
Absolute savage.
He's a
Shout out to
piranha,
Bill.
not a fish. That guy.
Yeah.
It's a shark.
And then you got like Ryan, again, another guy.
Yeah.
Just really, really quick development cycles.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and I think that being able to do it, I don't know. I don't truly know how we've managed to do it over the multitude of countries and time zones that we've done it, but I just have to bring it down to like everybody being under a unified, like this is a cool place to work.
It's seats on a train.
And we have standards.
Seats on a train and the standards and values. Right? When you set up the standards, when you set up the values, right, and you connect that to the outcome that someone wants in terms of their career and development, everyone takes their seat on the train and they don't stand in front of it. And they do whatever they need to do to reach the destination where the train is going as collaboratively.
If you don't want to be in front of the train.
Yeah, no one wants to be in front of the train.
And on that note, I think we're done.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks for everything. If you did like this podcast, what's wrong with you? Second thing is, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that kind of good stuff. We really appreciate any positive feedback. We don't appreciate any negative feedback whatsoever.
You can give it. You'll get
I won't pay attention to it. And if you want to check us out, Closing Code, that's the Facebook group. You can go in there. There's heaps of live role plays, sales training, all that kind of good stuff. And if you do want to flick us some cash, it's 50 Aussie dollar dues a week, and you get access to 6 role plays a week with a coach at all different time zones. If you can't make at least 2 of them, if you don't value $25 to be coached for an hour with a bunch of other people in role plays, then I don't know. You're not going to be a very good salesperson.
Yeah, or you're extremely good and you don't need it.
Yeah.
In which case, you're wrong.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.